Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Hard Healthy Leadership, part 2 of our series on the fivefold ministry and how that integrates into your business. And so to get started, what I want to do is I want to describe a really simple way to remember the fivefold ministry. Okay? So if you put up your hand, you have 5 fingers, I hope.
Poor Jesse.
Yeah, that's right. Poor Jesse. That's one of our clients and friends who one of his hands doesn't have 5 fingers. So, anyways,
He doesn't need the fivefold grace.
he has it in one hand. He can still do this. So the fivefold ministry, if you want to think apostles, your thumb. They can touch all of the other ministry graces, okay? They make your hand function without a thumb. It's weird. You have your prophets, which point the way, bring alignment, timing. We just talked about that last time. Here's a fun one. Evangelists. Look, they're the furthest reaching finger. They're also the most offensive one. And we're going to talk about them right away here. Then we have pastors or shepherds. Your love finger. They're the ones who deal with the love. That's where you wear your wedding ring. And then you have your teachers. Your teachers help bring clarity. They help clear out your ear. That's how I was taught.
Ew.
You want to touch my finger?
No.
A little waxy now.
Oh.
Gross. I shouldn't have actually done that. Hey, I could have just
Pretended.
just
That's
mimed
gross.
it. When really went in there.
Oh my gosh.
Gotta use a Q-tip later.
Can we demystify a word for just a second? Because
Yeah.
we keep talking about graces. And what does that actually mean?
So the offices or the giftings or what do you mean the graces?
Well, we talk about having an apostolic grace or prophet grace or evangelist grace.
Okay.
And I just remember my sister one time asking me, what does it mean when someone has the grace for something? What does that actually mean?
It's a gift from God that can only come from Him. People define grace as unmerited favor. It's unmerited because it's a gift from God. Grace, biblically, is not the permission to sin as it talks about in Romans 7, but it's the power to get free of it and to live as Christ lived. So being a fivefold person, being one of those things, means generally that you are a reflection or a gift to the body of Christ as a reflection of Christ in you. Not everyone's called to the office, meaning not everyone is called to equip the saints to do the work of ministry. However, everyone is called to be those functions, to be a saint, right? So to be apostolic, to learn how to affect culture, to be prophetic, to encourage, comfort, and build up, to be evangelistic, to share the gospel and the good news, to be pastoral, to help people find wholeness, and to be a teacher to help bring clarity
And
systems and all that. So that's what that means. So the grace or office is different than the function of being the thing. Okay, so does that help? The grace or office is meant to equip the saints to do the work of ministry. But everyone is called to be a saint to do those things.
Mm-hmm.
Does that help?
Kind of.
What do you want more clarity on, Angela?
Well, I feel like for me, when I'm looking at grace, it's like a natural wiring that you have.
Yeah, sure.
I can tell you have the grace for something when it just naturally flows out of you anyway. Right.
For a long time, I've known I'm apostolic, called to be an apostle, and people would try and convince me otherwise or say that's arrogance or I didn't really care. I tried on all of the other shoes and they just didn't fit. You and I have both led hundreds of people to God. Mm-hmm. We're not evangelists though. Mm-hmm. We're just evangelistic. Mm-hmm. You and I are both very proficient in inner healing and helping bring wholeness to people. We do it really well.
We do.
I am not a pastor and I don't want to be. I have a teaching gift, but I am primarily apostolic with a teaching bent, so I can help bring clarity and distilled statements and all that kind of stuff. And I'm very prophetic because I've learned how to do that, but I'm not a prophet. Mm-hmm. I'm an apostle. It's just I know that, and it's not a better than worse than I'm called to, or people people are like, which of the fivefold am I? And everyone thinks they're an apostle because they have all of the functions. They're a saint. They're doing the things like, I must be an apostle. no, you're a saint. And it's
It's-
okay. It's
it's-
not better than worse then.
Yeah, when I'm looking at like people, clients, I'll just say clients. When I'm looking at clients, I'm looking at how they are naturally just perceiving the world
And wired.
and wired. Like
think
how,
and
like
build and-
I step into a room and without even really trying, I'm like, what's misaligned? What's aligned? What's the God get? What's missing here? Greg does not walk into a room and naturally think that.
I walk into a room and think, how can we bring joy and peace in this place?
He's like, what are we
How
called
can I bring
to
the kingdom?
expand? What are we called to grow?
Yeah.
We have a pastoral friend who walks into a room and is like, who's hurting and how can I help connect them?
Yeah, that sounds like nails on a chalkboard
That-
to me.
I'm
I'm like,
like,
I
I don't
avoid that
think like
person.
that.
Unless God brings me into that situation, then I love it because
Yeah.
God's done it. But I'm not naturally like, who's hurting? Who can I love right now?
Yeah.
I'm usually like, how can we bring joy in this situation?
Totally.
Yeah, because everyone's always wah, wah. Anyways,
And so
Continue.
when we're talking about these offices or these graces, it's just the grace means you have a natural ability to do this and it comes very easy to you.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard for us to realize what comes naturally very easy to us because it's easy for us.
Yeah.
So that's why we need people to reflect it back to us. The office is someone who is a gift to a community or whatever and called to actually help people rise up more into who they are in that area. So Greg helps apostles or apostolic business people become more aligned to be apostolic, to continue to reveal peace, joy, and right alignment in every area of their sphere of influence,
to bring a kingdom culture
to bring a kingdom
into
culture.
their business and into culture as a whole through their business because
Correct.
they're aligned.
Prophets help create and grow people in discernment and hearing God's voice and clarity, encouragement, and those types of things, alignment, those types of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, just wanted to clarify that because I think even in the churchy world, I'm like, what do they mean by they have a grace to do that? So
Thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
Sorry, sometimes I get stuck in Christianese.
it's okay. I just didn't grow up Christianese, so I feel like I'm like looking at this from a business perspective. Like, why does it matter if I have an apostolic grace or not? Or why does that matter? And it matters because it's how you're meant to reveal heaven.
Yeah.
It's just how you naturally do it and just stepping more into it. So let's talk about the evangelists.
The evangelists. Let's talk about. I just gave the finger for those who are listening to the podcast because that was the fivefold example. Funny for YouTube and maybe social media. But that's why Angela's laughing. So the evangelists are the communicators and carriers of the vision.
Yeah,
The world can't receive what it doesn't know exists.
correct.
So your evangelists in your business, they communicate the vision. They sell with integrity. Your best salespeople are going to be evangelists. It's a term that we actually use in the business world without actually talking about it. You say, this is my brand evangelist. You have a really great client, they become a brand evangelist.
Call them influencers now.
We call them, sure, brand influencers, fine. But they're someone who cannot help but share about how awesome you are. They attract new clients, partners, and community. They draw people in, and that's why evangelists, so in the church, they draw people into the church. They get really antsy if they're like stuck in the church building. They're like, I want to be talking to people. Same thing with salespeople. They want to be out meeting people, drawing them in, sharing the stories, and sharing the testimonies of what's actually happening. So they turn what's been revealed through your business into a testimony. So this is what's happening with clients, and this is how I can share this. So a testimony is just like, we call it a testimonial in the business world, right? It's just what's happened. It's just the story. Evangelists are super proficient. They're like, this is what's happened. This is awesome. This is all the benefits that you'll receive. And why wouldn't you want to be a part of this, right? So you and I have to function as salespeople right now, but that's actually probably our next hire is someone who's a brand evangelist for us.
Gosh.
Because honestly, we do have a lot of really cool stories. And what's hard sometimes is because we're not naturally evangelists, we undersell ourselves sometimes. We're like,
Often.
yeah, we're
actually.
just like, oh, it's pretty good, I guess. And then people are like, this is so important. That's why we have a testimonials page on our website now. We're developing that. It's like, you changed our business and saved our marriage, and
Reconcile those to our kids.
we saw government policy shift. Oh yeah, I guess that's probably pretty important. I literally 4x'd my income in 2 months because of what God said. Like, yeah, that's pretty neat. I guess. Cool.
Cool.
Probably need some brand evangelists for us.
Probably.
So if you know of any. Anyways, an aligned evangelist, what they'll do is they will spread the message with joy and power. We know some like people who, again, they are just God-wired evangelists. Literally worked for a guy. He's one of our clients. His name is Jay Lee. He's a sales ninja. Find him on social media. Jay is a natural evangelist, and he does it in such a relational, pastoral way. It's not like the evangelism that can be offensive for people.
It's not your used car salesman.
It's not your which is like it's a misaligned evangelist. Jay like lovingly pastors people and brings them in. He actually teaches people kingdom selling. He's amazing, and he does it because he actually loves the person in front of him and tries to help them as best as he can. And as a result, has sold millions and I think he's at 20 million in 3 years. Like
around there, yeah.
Incredible. Aligned. Go ahead.
Can we demystify something with the evangelists for a second? The message that they're spreading is not the salvation message all the time.
Right. Well, so okay.
Well, I immediately, when you say evangelist, I cringe. I'm like, oh no, this is like the guy who's yelling at me on the street corner. This is the like big tent revival guy. I don't want him in my business. I don't want someone constantly feeling like they have to come in and talk about Jesus to my business.
The gospel is the good news, right? It's the good news of the salvation of Jesus Christ. What if the good news is your business being the revelation of what it's called to be from heaven to earth? And that's actually good news for people in the marketplace because they need what you're bringing. And you reveal heaven through your business.
Correct.
As a result, they can experience heaven. We can have a salvation conversation at some point in relationship. But what if that's not the initial touch point of when heaven meets earth? And I think back to Queen
Sheba.
the Ethiopian, the Queen of Sheba, Queen Sheba, the Ethiopian queen, right?
I think it was Sheba.
Yeah, with Solomon, where she comes in and she gives her life to the Lord. Ethiopia is still a Christian nation thousands of years later because she came and saw Solomon. And it wasn't Solomon's message. It wasn't his wisdom, although that's what she came for. It was how the staircase was made and how the serving staff dressed and served that led her to the Lord. She's like, God is real because of that.
Yep.
That is an expression of evangelism in business. The good news expressed through you is the kingdom made manifest in your business, and you don't necessarily have to share the gospel in a way of closing people. Because here's a crazy thought.
You don't have to share salvation as the gospel is just the good news.
Right. So we don't have to have a salvation message.
Correct.
Where I close someone on Jesus.
Yes.
Okay. So here's a crazy thought. What if that person is already included in the love of God, kind of like it says in Romans 8:38 and 39, that nothing can separate us from the love of God that's in Christ Jesus our Lord? And I don't so much have to convince them to know God. I can just see them as already included, and I love them how he's loving them. And then we have a conversation through relationship, not through trying to close them in the moment so I can get numbers to make me feel better. So I'm talking about evangelism in terms of the church sense.
Which, like, sadly has been pushed onto businesses a lot. Like, I have countlessly met people who are like, let me just come in and evangelize to your staff. And I'm like, no. And we've met with business people that are like, you do prayer for businesses? Like, my last experience, this was someone who tried to come in and pray their beliefs into my culture. And it really turned off a lot of people.
Well, we try and make the office a church.
Yes.
And it's not. Your office isn't a church.
Correct.
It's your church is a church, and that's great. Your office is an office. So you need to preserve the culture of that, but we can actually bring a kingdom culture into your office where we see peace, joy, and right alignment happen. We see people aligned in their God-given assignments, whether they know it or not, whether they know God or not. And now, man, I am doing things that I am meant to do. I'm killing it at work. I feel so much joy. And by the way, there's something different about this culture. And that can lead to a conversation as God leads you, whether that's early or later. Legitimately, there's a shame message around evangelism of sharing the gospel.
Well, it's tied to that rapture.
It's
thing we talked about
everyone
earlier.
needs to know. Everyone needs to hear. And how will they know unless you're sent? That's the classic missionary. What we would preach this line, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with being sent. But what if you're sent to participate with what God's doing and love them as He's loving them? And what if that doesn't look like I'm immediately sharing the gospel, but I'm loving them as He's loving them? Now, here's the other thing for the people who don't like evangelism. What if that looks like you're sharing your faith immediately? Because that's what God's doing, not because that's a principle. This is the hard part. It's relationship. It's participation with God. Because a lot of Christians will want to quote St. Francis of Assisi and say, preach the gospel always, and
Use words
if necessary. Yeah, use words if necessary. And we use that as a thinly veiled way to say, I don't want to share the gospel because I'm afraid they're going to reject me.
But that's because we think that the gospel is this narrow focused salvation message, which we're not going to talk about on this podcast.
To a moment of closing them for Jesus. And Jesus doesn't need you to close them because He said, I will build my ecclesia.
Correct.
He needs you to love them.
Your job is to reveal.
Your job is to love them as He loved you.
Yes.
That's His only command. So that's great. So Jesus, how are you loving this person right now?
Yep.
That's amazing evangelism. Sorry, we went off on that. That seemed like a church/business conversation. They multiply. No, we didn't do they multiply impact and reach. So they actually multiply the impact and reach of your business because they're able to gather new clients. They're able to help you bring the right people in to the gospel that is your business, the good news that is your business, okay? That sounds sacrilegious. It's really not. Like, all the earth is groaning for the revealing of the sons of God, and you are a revelation, and God revealed through you looks like your business fully aligned in revealing the kingdom. That's the gospel. It's the staircase that leads to the salvation of the Queen of Sheba, that leads to a nation transforming for millennia. And an aligned evangelist draws in those who are hungry. Here's the thing that's hard to understand. Not everyone has an iPhone. I don't get it. It's the best phone on the market. I don't know if it is actually or not, but people still use Android. You can have the best business at what you do, and not everyone's going to need it. Not everyone's going to buy it. They actually might need you, and they still will choose not to do it. And that's okay. But your brand evangelist is going to draw in those who are hungry and who will actually engage with your services. That's way better than trying to convince someone who's dragging their heels and doesn't want your services. Is that helpful? A misaligned evangelist, what they'll do is there'll be hype over substance. I've also met this in mature evangelists where it's hype all the time.
Event, thing, come.
And there's no substance behind the hype. There can be excitement, but the substance isn't there. And really what it leads to is, especially where there's not a prophet or a pastor present, functioning, it leads to a trail of bodies and trauma and wounding. You've experienced a little bit of that, but we won't get into that today. No context. Is that? Do you want to say anything? No. Okay.
That's
so
fair.
Look at Angela's Facebook post. She's got almost a book being written that you can enjoy some of that. Misaligned, misaligned evangelist. Their identity is tied to numbers. So it's like, okay, this is the tricky part. Sales in a commission-based world, you eat what you kill, right? Like, so that's the world's mindset. What's a kingdom-based mindset is figuring out what that deal looks like with the evangelist. And I was actually going to go off into thinking what that looks like, but it actually has to be unique to how God is expressing that deal to look like with the evangelist, whether it's commission, salary, combination, however that looks. That you have to discern that with God. But the evangelist identity cannot be tied to the number of people they bring in. It just has to be in the participation, the expression of who God's called them to be. And we've seen this happen a lot with misaligned evangelists, that there's burnout from always trying to perform. They always have to put this front on. Even when they're exhausted, they have the hype putting forward, oh, this is great, this is great.
I feel tired just thinking about it.
And you can see the bags in their eyes. You can see their dead eyes looking at you. And you're like, man, just go rest. Like, we don't need you to close more people for Jesus. I don't need you to try and sell some. I need you to actually be at peace and at rest with who God's called you to be, and out of the wellspring of joy, not the hype of a situation or a closed deal. I need you there, not like I need you aligned with who God's called you to be, not with all this hype and nonsense. Mm-hmm. If an evangelist is missing, we have no new leads. Your business is dead in the water. So we go back to the 5 pillars of running a business, okay? That we talked about this before.
I would say your leads don't get followed through, because the apostle can draw up leads because they're out communicating vision. It's that your leads get lost.
Yep. Like I said, I have to be evangelistic right now, but I don't like it. We're looking at this next.
Your sales feel awkward, super awkward, pushy, or
100%.
Feels like that weird car salesman vibe where you know that there's an agenda.
Yeah.
You're just like, that's a misaligned or missing evangelist. Because you're not excited to share what you're doing. You're like, oh, this feels creepy. This feels gross. This feels off.
It's hard. Wrong. It's hard to say how awesome you are all of the time. And it's really helpful to have other people say that. Like, that's why we need salespeople. Because I do actually think even for our business, we have a really awesome offer. But it's hard to get on a sales call and be like, you need this. Mm-hmm. You're super stuck.
That's why you need someone who has that evangelistic grace. Yeah,
and God's allowed us to do this for a season, but yeah, this has been a helpful exercise in preparing for this. I'm like, oh, well, we need some people. But there's another way. If they're missing, there's no or very little external growth or momentum in your business, because if we go back to the 5 pillars of a business, there's sales and marketing is the first thing. If you don't have that, you're dead in the water. So you need that presence. If you're launching your own business, you're going to have to function in that for a while and understand that. And it'll really give you an appreciation for your brand evangelist, right? Yep. Mm-hmm. We'll get into those other functions in a little bit of 5 pillars of business. But for those who haven't heard it, here they are. Sales and marketing, finance and accounting, operations and systems, team development, and leadership development. Okay? Those are the 5 pillars of growing a business. And I'll kind of help segment in where the 5 will fit into that. But your evangelists are super foundational and necessary for growth. The team struggles when an evangelist isn't present, when there's an incredible offer, but there's no visibility. You actually need to be seen in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. And you need to ask God how that looks. And there's a fear of selling. It's like, do they want to buy it? Like an evangelist, the natural would be like, yeah, why wouldn't you? Yeah. Why wouldn't you want to?
You obviously want this. You need this.
This is amazing. Like, you're already in. Just come in.
It's like Tyler. Let me close them for you. Okay.
Yeah, Tyler. Yeah, Tyler Dam, our client, just on the last podcast. He's natural sales guy. Natural evangelist. It's amazing.
So how do you empower evangelistic people in your culture? Is give them real stories and testimonies to share. And I don't mean like testimonies like, oh my gosh, God did this in our business. It's just like, how did your product, how did your culture impact the community, impact whatever your business is servicing? And why does it matter? Because evangelists have this natural way of being able to hear testimonies and hear what the person is saying and tie a unique testimony to that person. Yeah. They are like naturally like, I know a story for you. I know this. I don't think that way, but.
And this is where you apostolically and prophetically need to understand your brand too. Mm-hmm. It's really important that like, this is the communicated, expressed version of who we are. It's a brand to the marketplace. Okay. And your evangelist will be able to align under that brand and then pull testimonials to support that brand to the lead, so that the lead aligns with that brand and with you and closes. Yep.
And they're also really good at top grading people and being like, they're not ready to hear about your product, or they're not a good fit.
Yeah. Or like, I'm working on them, or like whatever. Evangelists love working on them, don't they? They love to think,
they will maintain relationships forever.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know how they do that. Good for you, evangelists. We love you.
Good for you. Here's the hard thing, though, is that you can teach this. Business schools have taught evangelistic skills. So what you're looking for is how is this person meant to tap into the blueprint of heaven? Because you can be
and an
super
authentic
good
expression
at,
of it.
You can be super good at sales and super slimy about it.
Right. So slimy, here's the thing. This is the tricky part. Is you can have principles in sales that are authentic, or they're slimy because I know how to manipulate someone into the sale.
High manipulation here.
And you can tell the difference, or like someone actually wants to. So there's a great example. One of the best car salesmen of all time. I think he was top in the States. Okay. What he does is he hears the prospect, and he finds out what would actually best serve them, not what would give them the most commission. So they're like, hey, we want to buy this top of the line minivan because our family's growing. What's minivans, really? Anyways, we're SUV family. Angela won't let us buy a minivan because we're the black SUV.
You really want to know?
Rock and roll. Oh, that's not right. Rock and roll. Get out here. So anyways, what he'll do is he'll actually help the family get aligned with the right vehicle for their situation. So that maybe they want the top of the line brand new minivan, but he's like, you know what? Financially, it would be better for you to take a 3-year-old minivan at this price, and we'll be able to do this deal better, and that'll actually serve your family better. And they almost always close because he's honoring them and aligning them with what's best and with really what God's doing. He's a man of faith, actually. So that was a fun testimony to hear, because that's sales in a kingdom way. It's the same thing like with Jay, our client, and he's a high ticket sales coach. Like, he's amazing, and he just helps people align with what they actually need. Like, and he finds how to best serve them and add as much value to them, even if it's free and it costs him his time. Yeah. And I really love that and have admired that about Jay. So practically integrating evangelists into your business.
They just need a moment, like a weekly vision cast. Doesn't have to be an hour. They just need a 5-minute, here's the vision. And they need that constant reminder, because they are like your people that are they're your people that always want to be out talking to other people. Yeah. So they just need the reminder of like, this is where we're going, vision casting, and they need consistent inflow of testimonies.
Yeah, like these are some of the current stories that are happening, and they can draw from that and pull from that, because no matter what, I really love Donald Miller's stuff on building a story brand in marketing, because what he does is he helps place people in the story where they are the hero and you are the guide to them being the hero in the story. Okay, that's a really good marketing strategy, because people relate to story. We have related to story since the beginning of time, because we place ourselves in that story and experience that story in a real way. And so that's what your evangelists will do, is they'll help place those people who are meant to be participants and customers and clients of yours in the real stories that have happened in your business, so that those clients can come in and be positively impacted by the amazing business that you have. Let's talk about pastors.
Pastors. The people that get up on a Sunday. I'm just kidding.
So pastors. And what I'm referring to specifically is ministers.
I feel like I need to go off on you for just a second.
On me?
No, just on this.
I was going to go off on them too.
I'm just going to go off on everyone. Can we please stop calling people pastors if they don't have a pastoral grace? Just because they lead the church doesn't mean they are a pastor. And it puts a false responsibility on them to pastor you when they're not pastoring, they're apostolicing.
Do you know how many times pastor is mentioned in the New Testament?
Do I want to know? Mm-hmm. Was it Pastor Paul and Pastor Timothy and Pastor
No.
Mark and Pastor Luke?
No, I'm serious. Do you want to know how many times it's mentioned?
I do. I'm just being facetious.
Once in this scripture. The word pastor is mentioned once. Shepherd is mentioned a couple times. Not often. It's apostles, prophets, evangelists, and evangelism. Some talks about teaching. But this is the government of the church, so it's not to downplay that pastors are necessary, but pastoring and that title is not a proper biblical title. That's why actually just...
Can I be like blunt here?
Sure.
Pastors are just church CEOs. Just stop. Pastors, we call managers pastors in the church world.
Well, it's like the term apostle in the New Testament church. It wasn't a church term; it was a governmental term. So, whatever. It's part of our culture. The reason why that fathers are called fathers in the Catholic Church is because early in the church they realized that their job was to reflect the Father in heaven and to help father the congregation. That's the reason. It's like, and again, we can look at the demonized version, the evil that has happened because of those people, but take that off the table. God's original design for that was actually really great. There's lots of denominations that don't call people pastor, but we've also been a part of churches that require you to call the senior leader of the church the pastor.
And only pastor so-and-so.
And like,
even though
it's a sign of respect.
the prophet in me is like, you don't carry this grace. And if I do that, I'm
There
actually
isn't an ounce of
dishonoring.
pastoring in you. Yeah.
I'm actually dishonoring the God-given, unique, original design of you by calling you something that you're not.
Yeah.
And then I'm putting this false responsibility on you that you don't need to have. And then
So-
we wonder why so many pastors are depressed.
So let's talk about,
Anyways.
anyways, we get off our little soapbox. Thanks everyone for listening. This is what a pastoral grace looks like
In a
business,
business
okay? So pastors, what they do is they tend to the emotional health and relationships of the team. They disciple team members through personal growth, and they create safe, honoring environments for transformation. Let's unpack that a little bit. They will be the glue that holds your people together. They will be the culture carriers in your business. Like, they actually really maintain health. We have friends who are very pastoral.
Well, we have lots of friends who are very pastoral.
Absolutely. And it's super important. It's an amazing gift when someone is a true pastor, because they care for people's hearts. They tend to people's hearts. I literally had a conversation yesterday with one of our team members and referred them to the most pastoral member of our team, not because I can't pastor someone.
Yeah.
I love doing it, but I was like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should just set up a phone call with this person, and you guys can connect. And when you connect, like, I think there's something there that's important. So I can be pastoral, but true pastors carry that culture and maintain health for people.
They
And
carry
they're such a gift.
the process. The pastors carry space for the process. Let's say these are your people who are like naturally inclined to HR things for the most part. They want to do culture development, team development, retreats, like the potlucks.
Yeah. So going back to the 5 pillars of business, they will be your team development people. Not in proficiency, but in terms of culture, and that you want that, not in a weird hokey way, but in like in an authentic, how do I steward culture way?
Yeah.
Like that actually brings health in life. How does that person who's in a pastoral role bring health and alignment to your team so that they can thrive? That's their gift.
Yeah.
And so an aligned pastor, they'll build strength, relational strength into company culture.
Yeah.
They heal burnout before it happens. And so a prophet will be like, beep, 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 something's happening over there. Pastor will be like, I'm going to go puppy dog then. And they'll be a friend and actually really help nurture what's going on and give space for people to be people, because it's people over profit that builds a kingdom culture that actually makes you more profitable in the long run. Yep. Honestly, it's fascinating how that happens. But an aligned pastor will also create longevity and deep loyalty. So we talked about this before, where we've experienced cultures that are highly apostolic and evangelistic, and the front door is as big as the back door. We're bleeding people constantly, and
there's no culture of feedback.
But the feedback culture is huge.
Pastors create an authentic feedback culture
where it's not where it's not criticism based, but it's actually love based feedback that helps bring people into the wholeness of who they are and makes them better. It's not like, you're doing this thing that offends me, stop it. It's like, hey, that might actually be my personality wiring, and not like,
could just be triggering you.
No, I'm not just being a dick. Like, I could.
It's true.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Real time.
Okay, thanks. Anyways, so that's what an aligned pastor looks like. Now, a misaligned pastor avoids hard conversations.
Totally
people pleasers.
Big people pleasers.
Yep. They enable dysfunction, and that's actually is a big result of the people pleasing thing too.
Yeah.
That they can see the dysfunction happening, and they're like, "Oh, it's okay, everyone." They're trying to maintain niceness rather than cultivate peace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everyone just be nice to each other. No, bringing peace to a situation it looks like being a minister of reconciliation.
Mm-hmm.
You actually reconcile your team back together, especially when there's conflict. And a misaligned pastor sacrifices mission to avoid discomfort. Again, all correlated back to uncomfortable conversations that need to happen. Really healthy pastors actually have systems and functions for how to communicate that, which is, again, we make jokes about HR, right? Like you see in The Office, like where Michael hates Toby. He's like, "Oh, Toby." It's funny because an apostle, I feel like, that doesn't honor a pastor will be like, "You're slowing me down, man. Like, get out of my way. This doesn't matter. Why do people's feelings matter?"
Yeah.
But in a really healthy culture, there's a real honoring of the pastor because the pastor keeps the people around and actually helps them get aligned.
Pastors, someone with a pastoral grace helps give language to the tension, I would say. They help identify healthy communication styles. They help equip people with the tools to have healthy conflict and feedback and all of those things. And they help bring, again, the ministry of reconciliation to teams.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, there are so many gifted people in the business world that have this specific grace. We just call them counselors.
Yeah.
We just call it something else. And it's usually intrinsically focused. So it's just coming out of the intrinsic focus into the kingdom. How am I meant to release this grace into this community and help bring a cohesive culture relationally?
But if a pastor is missing from your culture, what happens is, we talked about this already. There's a high turnover rate. People leave offended. Resentment is under the surface.
So much resentment, or like bitterness, criticalness, gossip. You just have all these like relational icks in your culture.
And there's quiet quitting and unseen pain. So like people quit before they actually quit. Like they just stop trying because there's just pain that's present. We actually need to get that uprooted so that morale is up, not in a like a concept way, but in like a true spiritual and emotional way that is authentic. Not like, we're gonna do team building day and trust falls and have hot dogs and then we're all good. That's good.
And we trust each other.
And we trust each other. We're family here. What's my middle name? What are my kids' names? Anyway, sorry.
So if a pastor is missing, the team is usually struggling with a toxic culture of some kind.
Yeah.
It could be morale issues. It could be gossip. It could be slander. It could be, like, we have experience. You can tell that there's not a pastor in the culture because every time the staff comes over, they just vent about the people that they work for. It's like constant negative criticism and all these things. Like, oh, they're just the way that they are.
There'd be no relational glue, and there'll be factions that form. Yep. So a great example of a pastoral book is Culture of Honor by Danny Silk.
Oh, so good.
Because he's a true pastor.
Or the Business of Honor.
Well, sure. Business of Honor is the business expression with Hansen?
Bob Hassan.
Bob Hassan. Bob Hassan. But Culture of Honor, it's true regardless of which culture you're part of, because Danny is a true fivefold pastor that actually creates systems and structures for health to flow in an organization. Yeah. So that's a good resource to pull from, for sure. The practical integration of this looks like regular one-on-one emotional check-ins. How are you doing? How can we help develop you? What's going on? Now, again, this is how you and I function with our team, probably mostly me right now. Like, how are you doing? How can we help develop you? What's going on here? And
let these people plan your staff retreats and your morale days and all these things. Let them create feedback systems. Let them be the ones who create the feedback loops and the care systems, like that just nurture community. And let them, when you're meeting, if you're like the apostolic prophetic type, let them speak into the rhythms of the way the culture is going. Yeah. Because they'll be the ones to say, hey, we're always in go mode and we need like a non-go mode. We need like a rest or a break, and then we can come back and launch another thing.
Yeah.
So let them speak into the grace, because they're going to be the ones that are hearing the tensions from people and will be able to communicate, hey, we're moving too fast. Hey, we opened a second site too soon. We're burning people out on both ends. We need to maybe close the site and reevaluate timing, that kind of thing.
Well, and they're going to facilitate inner healing where there's a faith-based component for people. So
Yeah.
like counseling is great, and a lot of people love counseling, but inner healing is a different component. That's really helpful. So let's talk about the last but not least of the gifts, the graces.
The teachers.
The teachers. So teachers bring systems, and they're truth translators.
Yep.
Okay?
They help bring clarity.
So and clarity is a weapon against chaos.
Correct.
So, evangelists, apostolic types, even the prophetic, they'll stir stuff up. Teachers bring alignment and clarity.
I would say the apostolic and the prophetic are really good at being kind of in the ooey wooey, like the big vision, but they don't realize that the big vision doesn't sustain most of the people that are working for them. Like they need the actual anchoring down of the systems.
Absolutely. So teachers, what they do is they make complex things simple and transferable.
Yep.
Okay. So they distill down what is ethereal and complex and make it clear.
Yeah.
They create curriculums, trainings, SOPs, and repeatable systems. So remember, standard operating procedures SOPs are really great when they're initiated by the Lord, not when it's like this is an industry standard. This is a best practice. Best practice is just the business term for religion, generally speaking.
Self-righteousness.
Yeah, for self-right. So we want what God is doing because, like, again, going back to Dave Hodgson, who we referred to in the section about apostles, their SOP is actually hiring people to get those people aligned in their God-given assignment, which quite often means they're not with them for long.
Yeah.
That's a weird way to grow a business.
And they'll pay to train them in their God-given
worth $2 billion.
And then release them. Yeah.
Right. They'll actually train them and equip them to be aligned in their God-given assignment and release them. That's a weird SOP. But look at the fruit.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But that's how their blueprint was designed to do it.
Absolutely. And teachers will also anchor revelation into practice. So, okay, how does this make sense in the day-to-day world? Literally yesterday, I was on a call with a client, and God gave me a really cool download on how do you actually quantify the kingdom of God coming in your life by asking Jesus questions and putting numbers to it. It's really neat. But he gave me a system that people can plug into and quantify how they're doing, because one of our clients is like, I really felt from the Lord to take a month, take 30 days and just give myself space to rest and experience God's kingdom. And I was like, how will you know you're successful at that?
Great question.
And they're like, I don't know. And I was like, cool. And then God gave me this download and I'm like, this is awesome. Like, it was like revelation. I was like, this is sweet. This is good. I should write this down. I already did write it down, but it was because that's a gifting and an anointing on my life, and I was listening to Jesus, and it's way better than something that I could have fabricated and come up with. It brings clarity, right? So what does an aligned teacher look like?
An aligned teacher, they're empowering others with clarity. Like, they can take ooey wooey kind of cloudy things and be like, oh, here's the distilled statement. And you're like, trying to find that distilled statement for 8 months. Thank you. They're really good at documenting, delegating, and developing systems, procedures, people, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And they are the people that will help teach the vision, values, through language that people will understand.
So in the 5 pillars of growing a business, I know we're doing fivefold ministry, but in that, your teachers are best going to be expressed in finances and accounting. You want black and white bookkeepers. That's helpful. I
mean, unless you're doing illegal activity.
Unless you're doing mob activities, which you need to book a call with us for sure at that point. And also in your systems and your operations, you want someone who has a teacher wiring to bring clarity and structure and order.
Yeah.
Right. Your leadership development can come from multifaceted fivefold approach for sure. Like, no question. Definitely want some teaching there because it helps bring clarity, but that is your 5 pillars of business expressed in the fivefold. How did that work out? That's pretty
great.
good. That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
that's great.
All right.
Misaligned teachers. I feel like we need to preface this with like, here's the thing about teachers.
Yeah.
Teachers can have the language, but not carry the substance of the revelation. So the danger that we see is that there's a lot of really brilliant teachers out there who understand systems and are walking in their gifting, but they lack the substance of what they're teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking for someone who understands and has the substance and can help you set the systems up.
Teachers will often be the last one to get the revelation.
Even though they have the right language.
I have like a constant internal battle of being apostolic, so getting the vision and the revelation, and then the teacher part of me is like, pulling me back. And it's a fun little
we've wrestled
conversation I
this
have with myself.
teachers, especially because we're really good at building revelation community. And they're like, but how do you do it? And I was like, well, I can't tell you how, because if I tell you how, you think you have it.
Actually,
and you
I have made the mistake of telling people how, and then they try
process.
and build it, and it doesn't happen because they don't have
And
the
they're like,
revelation.
wow, I haven't really experienced a lot of change. I was like, yes, because you did the system and you didn't go through the heart process.
Yeah.
So we got to make sure that both are happening. So misaligned teachers, there's a lot of prioritizing the system over what the spirit is doing in the moment. You see this a lot in the justice system in particular. Like I would say lawyers are very teacher minded. They try to build systems and this is the way forward and the law and all these things. And they're prioritizing system over spirit. There's a lot of perfectionism. Like it can only be this way. God can only reveal it this way in our business. And there's not a lot of creative inspiration to maybe pivot or change. And if they're misaligned, they kill momentum with overprocessing. How are we going to do this? What is this going to look like? And they want every detail drilled down before they are like, okay, I have peace about this.
Apostles and evangelists hate that.
They
hate
literally
that part
won't
of it.
invite them to meetings.
Yeah, that's right. But you need your systems people because they actually anchor stuff down well.
You
but,
just need to know when
but
to invite them.
right. Later, once the dreams happen, they anchor this down.
Don't invite them to the dreaming
But they do. They kill
process.
momentum if they're misaligned, right?
Yeah.
So if they're missing,
there's no systems, clear systems, I would say.
right? Everyone does things their own way, which is not a repeatable process, and you cannot scale if there's no systems. If
Or you
people
have
are doing
shadow
it-
systems, which you have two people doing the same thing
yep.
different ways, and then you try to integrate a third person, and they're like, "Which system do I use?" And they're like, "I don't know."
and that leads to a lot of error and low continuity. And again, you can't scale, or if you are scaling, it's because of the market and not because of your aligned business acumen with kingdom metrics and bringing heaven to earth.
There's no integrity in the how. Like there's corruption in the integrity of the process.
Yeah. So teams struggle when teachers aren't present. And that brings a lot of confusion.
Big one is like the founders are bottlenecked.
Which for sure happens to founders because especially usually a founder entrepreneurially will be an apostle. Maybe a prophet, but usually an apostle. Apostolically wired person. And remember, the dysfunction of an apostle is that they try and do everything and they're not meant to.
Yeah.
That's why we need teachers to bring systems and processes, because when they're missing, things get bottlenecked. And eventually the team will burn out from reinventing the wheel over and over and over and over and over and over.
Because there's
again
no
because
one there to say, hey, we actually have this system already. So they keep innovating and trying instead of streamlining the system and getting the clarity on the system, which is what teachers bring, and then implementing it, be like, oh, there's so much life here.
So the path forward with the teacher is to help document your way of doing business, okay? And let the teachers audit the process. Here's something that we do with our clients that they don't like because we work with the apostolic and prophetic type. Hey, let's do a time audit. Let's write down everything we do in a day for 3 days and see where we're bleeding time. Hey, let's do an audit of our process of how we onboard clients and see where there's inefficient. Sometimes we're just losing leads because there's no process in place. And teachers will really, really help bring that clarity and efficiency in your business. Of course, when aligned with the Lord in a kingdom way. So practical integration, assign a teacher to systemize every new revelation or offering. Again,
Okay.
remember, your business is a revelation. Go ahead.
Let me just stress this again with teachers. The hard thing with teachers is they have a hard time letting go of a previous revelation.
Yeah.
So the big tension with teachers is between apostles and teachers is letting go of the old thing and the prophets discerning, okay, this is actually an old thing, and helping guide them into the new thing without condemning or shaming them. They're the hardest ones to let go.
They need to learn from Elsa. Let it go. But no, this is what they'll do. They hold on to the old thing as long as possible and grasp onto the new thing, and they'll be in that tension for a while. So you need to help them pry
Let
their
go.
hands
Yep.
off of the dead old thing. That's the prophet's job, okay? And help attach the new thing. That's the apostle's job. And
And it's the pastor's job to check in and see how their heart is doing. Because your teachers are going to carry that false responsibility for the old thing as long as possible. Because I have to steward this system. And God's like, okay, but now we're in this one. And so the pastors are checking in and saying, hey, how are you doing with this transition?
at scale, you want to attach some teachers with your evangelists, because that'll really supercharge your engine of bringing leads and sales and all that kind of stuff. And what you can do with a teacher type is to host quarterly clarity audits. Are we clear on stuff? Is there, they work well with the prophets in trimming some of the fat, some of the dead stuff in your business. Yeah, it'll be a real gift to you. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, just give me 1 second.
She's live editing the notes and I can see it on my computer.
Just talk about it. It's just duplicate.
Oh, yeah, it was. All right. So building a fivefold business, this isn't about titles. This is about culture carriers.
You need to write all of their giftings on their business cards now.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, get a new business card. Say, I'm a fivefold teacher.
Apostle storyteller.
How about
Evangelistic marketing director.
what about super apostle? You ever see that? It's on some people's business cards. Super apostle. They just have like a superhero thing underneath that has a big A, and they just pull their button down collar and super apostle.
Yeah. So how do you build a fivefold team in your business? The key thing is actually discerning your grace first and then helping discern the graces of the people around you. You got to stop trying to be all five. You can't be all five. And it really frustrates me when people are like, well, I can tap into all five graces. Yes, but there is only one way that you are naturally wired to think. You don't wired think like a prophet and a pastor at the same time for 40 hours during the week. It's just not a thing.
Right. So there are some tests you can take online, and I actually don't mind sharing them. They're free tests. There's called APEST, Apostle, Prophet, Evangelist, Shepherd, Teacher. That's how they did Shepherd. But the thing is, it's better discerned in community. So I can answer questions based off of what I think I am. And here's the thing is, you'll have different expressions of each of the fivefold graces in your life based off of the season you're in and the level of maturity you're at.
Or it could also be for me, it was like wounding. I learned how to be other things because of wounding in my life.
So it's actually much better discerned in community, but you can take a test and that's fine.
And then honor the graces around you. Like we say it all the time, we have a lot of pastoral people around us.
We have a lot. Our team is super prophetic too.
We know we need it and we need to honor it because we can step into it, but it's not our natural wiring. Like I'm not going to sense when someone on our team is struggling first. That's usually one of our pastoral people. They're like, I think this person's having a hard day. I'm like, oh yeah, they probably are.
We get a bunch of pastoral prophetic intercessors that are like, the Lord laid you on my heart and I was interceding for you and I know your pain already before you shared it. And they're like, it's great.
And like actually release control. Like let them carry the weight of that. Like I don't try to carry all of our staff anymore. I just let the pastors let me know when I need to know some things up. And then build structures that value the invisible things. So whether it be the systems, the structures, the culture, the language, the leadership retreats, all of that.
Right. So the invisible things are those grace giftings in helping align people, not with. So here's another free one. All right. Here you go. This is from our mentor. What we mention often, his name's Paul. He's built, I think, 17 multi-million-dollar businesses. So he kind of knows what he's talking about. How he hires is based off of what he calls the 3 C's. It's character, commitment, and competency in that order. Okay? Because I can't train character. I can't. If you have a good character and you want to grow in that area, I can work with you. Your commitment, obviously, I want someone who's committed to the process if I'm bringing them in, because I don't want to see you leave in 3 months from now. Now, I'm not trying to hold on to you either, but commitment is helpful. And competency can be trained. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing with competency. I want to align your natural competencies with the competency in the business so that it feels like you're killing it no matter what. Mm-hmm. If you're naturally gifted at something and life is flowing there, I want to put you there and help train and equip you and help build systems and structures that support the life that's there. Because when I do that, that person comes to work every day and life is flowing. They don't feel like they're working. They know they're working, but they don't feel like there's joy, there's peace, there's life. That is how you actually build that system and structure. Character, commitment, and competency, and building around those competencies that are naturally wired in the person.
Mm-hmm. What's hard is we've been taught by the world system to just get people in where they're competent, not where they're called. Mm-hmm. And so it's being able to shift the lens and see where people are called to be. The character is there, the commitment's there, and competency can be trained.
Absolutely. So in closing, this is what kingdom collaboration looks like. Apostles need prophets to stay aligned. Prophets need pastors to stay grounded. Teachers need apostles to stay pioneering. Evangelists need teachers to stay accurate. And pastors need apostles to stay on mission. We all need each other. Mm-hmm. We cannot be all of those things because that's not actually how God has wired us. If you're looking to build a fivefold business, we're your people. Well, this is what we do. We really specifically help apostles and prophets get aligned so that they can build a fivefold culture in their business. As mentioned throughout this podcast, we've done birthright with organizations, helping them get clear in their God-given assignments so they can be aligned to help bring heaven come to earth. And so if that's you, book a call. We'd love to connect with you.
As we mentioned in this podcast, we're not very good at bragging about ourselves. This is why we need evangelists. But to brag about what we've done,
we're awesome.
We are awesome. We've actually released 2 really cool resources for clients or people who are shaping culture, looking to lead different areas of influence. And so we released a mini course, a mini coaching experience called the Alignment Reset, which just kind of gives you our 4 core tools, walks you through how to use them, how we use them in our coaching sessions, and you can familiarize yourself with those. And then if you're looking to go deep and like get to the most honest place and really become aligned and figure out what your God-given mandate is, we have Aligned to Lead, which helps bring you into alignment. It's also going to reveal where you're misaligned, which might be a little bit triggering. But if you're here for triggering and you're here for alignment, the Aligned to Lead course would be great for you.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you really enjoyed this message. If anything resonated with you from today's podcast, we wanted to ask to see if you'd be willing to share it with a friend that you think would also benefit from it. We hope to see you again soon.